welcome back to another episode of Tree Talkin Adventures. I'm your host, Ben Sheets. In this episode, we're going to be doing things a little differently. Instead of going somewhere, we're going down memory lane. I hope to share more about myself and my dogs with you guys, so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. This episode is going to cover the start of Tree Talkin Media and how the last 6 years of work has gotten me to this point. It's been a long, crazy road, and I'm excited to share it with you.
This episode is brought to you by Conkeys Outdoors, Southern Hound Hunting Magazine, Elite Nutrition, and Animal Housing Solutions.
I did a podcast a few years ago titled My Story. If you want to hear the whole backstory in depth of how I got my start in hunting, and it even goes into all about the podcast, but it obviously does not cover how we got here on YouTube. So you're only going to hear that right here. For now, we're going to focus on about the last 8 years or so. Well, I got my start with curs, and I fancy myself a cur dog man at heart. My local coon hunters club only hosts UKC night hunts. I had just gotten involved with them probably a couple years prior, and I had a cur dog at the time, and I wasn't really able to participate in any events. So I decided I was going to do the next best thing and get an old school leopard that looked like a cur, hunted like a cur, but had papers, UKC papers that said leopard hound. If you're not familiar with leopards, you'll have to check out several podcasts that I've done on the breed with several notable leopard guys. I like to say the breed's kind of stuck in purgatory. So I got my first leopard, and then another, and then another. Unfortunately, the first couple just didn't turn out for me, so the third one was the charm. Her name was Puddles, and Puddles was born right after my oldest. And so I had a new baby and a new puppy all at the same time. It was an interesting time. Unfortunately, when Puddles was about 6 months old, I lost my old dog, so it was a frustrating first season with her. She was probably 6 or 7 months old when season came in, and as it turned out, she was a late starter. With the past 2 leopards not turning out, I was very frustrated after that season. So at the end of that season, I decided to get another dog. I ended up picking up a young plot hound. His name is Timber. Timber and Puddles were only born a few weeks apart, but Timber was an early starter and had started treeing coons at 6 or 7 months old, and was pretty solid of a dog by the time I got him at around a year old. Coming into their first full season, Puddles finally clicked, and she progressively got better throughout the season. Timber was obviously the superstar and carried a lot of the weight early on, but the pair hunted really well together and had a lot of fun that year with the pair of young dogs. Just before the pair turned 2 years old, Timber ended up getting in with Puddles while she was in heat, and I ended up with a litter of puppies. Of course, we had a healthy litter of 10 puppies, and Puddles did a phenomenal job of raising all of them. While this litter was a litter of oops, I decided to keep one. There was a little red merle male that caught my eye early on, and he just seemed special to me. I really liked him. I decided to call him Rio. Rio was an early starter just like his dad. When he was 12 weeks old, he was running drags. By 4 months old, he was getting out. And while he wasn't hunting super far, he was getting out of sight, staying gone, and he'd even open up on a coon track out in the woods. Rio is now 6 years old, and he's a staple of my pack. His merle spots have faded, and I often get complimented on having a pretty red bone. I also ended up with a half-sister to Puddles. Her name is Fossil. They both came from Brandon Thompson's Glade Creek Kennels in West Virginia. When I got Fossil, she was started on bear, and I quickly switched her to coon, and she did pretty well right from the start. Not long after acquiring Fossil, Timber just kind of shut off on coons. I had shown him a few bear. He'd been bear hunted prior to me getting him as well. And so I ended up sending him to a friend of mine, and he's become a phenomenal bear dog. So that left me with Puddles, Fossil, and Rio. These 3 were my main pack of dogs for several years.
Unfortunately, a few years ago, I lost Puddles to cancer.
Since I wasn't able to find anything that suited me, I decided to breed Fossil to a sure enough coon dog that I'd heard a lot about. I now have a 9-month-old puppy named Twister out of Fossil in Bama. Last, we had another oops litter. Rio, just like his dad, got through the fence and got in with Fossil. Side note, the cheap chain link kennels are on their way out. You'll hear more about that later. That makes these puppies 3/4 leopard, quarter plotting. I'm really excited about these puppies. While they were an oops litter and it's not a cross I purposely made, I'm pretty excited at where they're going, and they're going to be hunted on a lot of various types of game, and they're going to be placed all across the country. And actually, one's going internationally. There's pups going to Ohio, Wisconsin, Alberta, Canada, Alabama, Florida, and they're going to be hunted on everything from squirrels, coon, bear, hogs, and big cats. So this litter's pretty exciting just to see the vast array of game and places, and I'm excited to see how they all turn out. This season, the plan is to start Twister on squirrels. I'm going to continue to hunt Rio and Fossil on coon. The reason I'm doing this is because my boys are now 8 and 5, and trying to get them out at night is a struggle. It's just, especially during the school year, during the weekends, a lot of times we're doing family stuff, so they don't get to go with me a lot, or on weekends I travel. So that's why I want to do more squirrel hunting, because that way we can spend more time outside in the woods with these dogs with my boys. So that's a little bit about what's in my kennel now, and also how I got here.
Got a pickup truck with a dog box, slam full of hounds that don't know when to stop. Tough old male, Rambo's his name. He's quick on his feet, hell on game. Got a little chip in the back of the pack. She ain't real fast, but she's true on the track. She's got to drive and she's got the guts, and that's why she's gonna run with us.
So like I said in the intro, Tree Talkin Media started about 6 years ago in the fall of 2019. There are a few things in my life prior to the fall of 2019 that kind of got me interested in cameras and got this whole journey started. There was a few film production classes in high school. There was carrying a point and shoot camera when I first got started hunting with dogs. I've always liked to document things and always been interested in cameras. One of my earliest inspirations for wanting to create a YouTube channel was Kirk Price, as he was making these awesome bear hunting videos that he continues to make to this day. And I wanted to create something similar, even if it was just for myself and my friends, of our dogs. I had some great experiences bear hunting and also just with coon hunting, and I wanted to be able to preserve those memories for myself and for my friends. So I started out with picking up a GoPro, and I also convinced my wife to let me use the DSLR that her parents bought us for our wedding present. She took some convincing because she wasn't quite sure I was not going to break it. The learning curve was much steeper than I imagined. There's a lot of things that were going against me as I was trying to figure all this out. When you start learning how to use a camera, they don't tell you how to use a camera at night with dogs in the woods. All of those things combined made it a very big struggle. I actually got pretty frustrated early on and decided to kind of switch my focus from video to photography. I did this for multiple reasons. A big reason was I needed to learn how to use the camera better. I was struggling to figure everything out on the video side. With photography, only taking a still photo I found to be much easier at first. It taught me how to use all of the features on the camera that I would have never learned had I just been running video in auto. It was also a ton of work to self-film and also try to handle dogs. Those are some other factors that really pushed me away from the video side, where the photography, I could easily carry my camera in a book bag or in some sort of bag to the tree, take photos, put it away, and then lead dogs out of the woods. With all of these things working against me, the frustration of filming was taking the enjoyment out of the hunt. And that was just another contributing factor as to why I decided to stop filming. While in some ways I wish I would have stuck with filming, like I said, the photography really taught me how to use my camera, and I think it helped me hone in a lot. I don't think I would have learned all of that had I not focused on it. It also opened some pretty cool doors. I've been able to go several places and photograph things I never thought I would. I've photographed events for UKC, from breed days to youth nationals. Last year I even photographed a wedding, which I would have never guessed that I would have done. So by focusing on photography, while it took away from the filming side, it opened some doors to things I never thought I would get to do. And while I focused on photography for the last several years, I would still take some video clips. Much to my editor Greg's dismay, they were all vertical. He wants to kill me. So, thanks, Greg. About a year after I started carrying a camera, in late 2020, I started thinking about a podcast. One of the things that made me finally get serious was talking to other podcasters, including my good friend Jason Doobie. Jason was a podcaster, and we had a good discussion. He reassured me that there was space for more podcasts. At the time, there was several pretty big podcasts in the hound hunting space, and he said there was always room for more. So with his help and encouragement, I was able to do a trial run of podcasts to see if it was something I really wanted to do. By the end of 2021, I had recorded and produced 7 or 8 episodes. People really seemed to like it, and so in January of 2022, I took the plunge and started Tree Talkin Time on its own feed as a weekly podcast. Now, a little over 3.5 years later, episode 200 is within sight. Podcast has been an incredible way of getting to know people all across the United States, and actually several people outside of it as well. Because of these friendships that I've formed with various guests, I've been able to travel and hunt with some of these people. Since I was traveling and hunting with a bunch of great people, I decided to start trying to film hunts once again. With a lot of trial and error, as well as the help of YouTube University, I think I found a little more success in filming than I did originally in 2019. As you have seen with several of my early episodes of Tree Talkin Adventures, I have made my fair share of mistakes. And some of those early episodes were rough. So, hopefully, as time goes on, these episodes will keep improving. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tree Talkin Adventures and enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about me and my journey. So this is just the beginning of something that I think will continue to grow and get better, so stick around and watch us grow. So if you like this content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Thank you.